Welcome to Trade You for the Fruit Punch, Season 1, Episode 3. We are recording here on Monday, October 10th, midday. It is a holiday for me, so I do not have work, and so we've decided to record a little bit early this week. With me, I have my co-host, Ari Abramovitz, my son, who is back in his prison cell. We dropped him off this weekend after watching a horrible Maryland-Purdue football game. Actually, I thought it
Fuck
was
the
kind of fun.
refs.
All right, I thought it was kind of fun, and my seats were atrocious, but it was an enjoyable weekend, spending some time in Ari's digs at Maryland. I beat him at Pig again in his room, and then I beat him
I
in
was
ping pong.
rusty.
So
rusty.
that's what it was. We have a lot of topics to cover. We're going to try to keep it a little bit shorter this week because we've been known to go a little bit long, and our audience is killing us that the pods are too long. So we're going to get into. Yes, she's really hammering it home that our pods are too long. But we actually had a random guy at the Maryland Student Union also tell us. He said 12 minutes.
He said 12
which
minutes.
I thought
was like, that's a
super
little short.
aggressive. That's not going to happen. We barely even touched anything in 12 minutes. But we're going to get into the Phillies.
We're a 12th of what he wants us to be at.
Exactly. We're going to get into the Phillies. We're going to do a little Eagles Cardinals and then a preview to next week. We're going to talk about Tottenham Brighton, and then we're going to get into our NBA award predictions, which is
finally
bound
we've
to
been
be
talking about these for 3
doozy.
weeks.
We have
or 3 episodes rather.
I have so much research done. It's like analysis paralysis, but my picks
I just
are
looked
going
up
to
some
shock
names
you.
and I was like, I like that one.
Yeah. So let's get into the Phillies. They defeated the Cardinals and ended Molina and Pujols' careers in one fell swoop this weekend, beating them 2-0 in the I guess they're calling it the wild card series. Give me some of your thoughts on the series, because we did watch quite a bit of it.
We watched pretty much all of it, except for like a couple minutes here and there. I mean, it is because of we've been on an 11-year playoff drought. The last team that we played, and they ended our best era of baseball. And we just got to do the same to them. And it's amazing. I thought the bats were poor at best. Rhys Hoskins especially was absolutely atrocious. I don't think he hit the ball. I think he went 0 for 9 in at-bats in these 2 games, which is just like, you can't have that. Schwarber, for the most part, did nothing other than get Alec Bohm a run to make it 2-0 in the second game. They need to do better, but the pitching was really good. Other than one big mistake from Alvarado, the pitching was actually, for the most part, really good. Starting pitching.
Yeah. Pitching wins wins titles. That's all there is to it. It's if you've got a couple guys who are throwing heat and just delivering some nasty stuff, you're going to go pretty far in the playoffs, if not win it all. I thought the starting pitching was outstanding. I thought the hitters, I equate the hitters to an abusive relationship, right? You keep going back for more, and if it's your boss, you're like, no, my boss isn't going to yell at me today, and then your boss yells at you again, and you think, well, no, my boss is really a nice person though, and he or she won't yell at me tomorrow, and then they yell at you again tomorrow, and you keep going back because you kind of have to. And I feel like the hitters have been doing this to us all season. Schwarber, to me, is not a leadoff guy, and he hits 210, 215. It's just not good enough. Hoskins is not a 2. Real Muto is not a 3.
Good enough to be in the rotation.
Castellanos is a 6 or 7 at best right now. He's not hitting for shit. I mean, Bohm is kind of our guy. We both really love Alec Bohm.
So if it were up to me and the pitchers weren't as good as they were, Alec Bohm was probably my player of the round of the wild card series.
Alex Bowen he's been outstanding, ever since he had that like 3-error game early in the season. And he kind of said, I hate this fucking place, right?
He said, I
And
fucking
then
hate
he
this
owned
place.
it. Right.
My favorite part actually is after the game the other day, one of the reporters asked him, like, do you have a message for the fans? And he kind of did a little smile and he knowingly said, I love this place, and walked away.
Well,
And I thought it was poetic. I loved it.
so I really do think, a guy like that who is honest about his feelings at that particular time and place and then owned it is going to forever, as long as he keeps being that kind of a person, he's going to be our guy. Like, he's going to be here for 10 or 15 years, I hope. And he's going to be the fan favorite. Kind of like
He's
a
one of
Chase
those guys
Utley
who's
was.
built for Philly.
He is. He is. Chase Utley was built for Philly. There have been other guys that have been built for Philly, and he is. So, let's move ahead though to the Braves series. And I didn't do a ton of research. The Phillies are 8-11 against the Braves this season, which actually was better than I thought
Which
it was.
isn't terrible.
I actually thought we were like 3-16 against them. I never felt like we ever beat them, but we were 2-5 in September.
The only team that I was like, we just can't beat this team the entire season was the Mets, and
I thought the Braves were kind of like them. Well, the Mets, man, they were the best team in baseball, essentially. Oh, we're getting into it later. Okay, but I like Eflin as our closer. I know you don't necessarily, but I kind of like him there.
Shaky.
Yeah, but you know what? Like, becoming a closer.
Did you ever feel comfortable watching him?
I felt more comfortable with him than I did when Sir Anthony was in.
Sir Anthony pitched heat. Sir Anthony closed out that inning.
Those guys scare me. Every person leading up to Eflin scared me a little bit. Eflin didn't look great, but I don't know. I felt better.
Alvarado and Sir Anthony are kind of my guys. I love
just
those
like
two.
101-mile-an-hour heat. I think they're wild as shit.
Fucking heat.
They're wild. They scare me. But you know what? Look, in a 5-game series, I don't know if it's been announced yet who's going to start, but it could very well be Wheeler starting game 1.
I think they're saying it's probably going to be Ranger Suarez game 1 because he was the game 3 if we had gotten to it. And then on regular rest, Wheeler plays game 2. So he's well rested for that game. And then I think Nola actually gets an extra day of rest if he pitches game 3.
And Nola pitches at home, which doesn't he pitch better at home than he does on the road? So I think that's actually a good move. You know what? In the playoffs, when you give your guys that regular rest, it ends up working in your favor. So I like that they're not trying to move the rotation up. Although I wouldn't have been shocked if they pitched Wheeler game 1 and then Ranger Suarez game 2, leaving Nola for game 3.
To get off to a good start, maybe.
To get off to a good start and also have Nola pitch at home. Like we said, he pitches better at home. Any other thoughts about Phillies? I mean, I like our chances in a game. Look, anybody can basically win in the playoffs if your pitching is good. And like that abusive relationship, I'm hoping the bats wake up.
I mean, Bryce hit a homer, but other than that, he was pretty anonymous. Like, if he can wake up and be what he was pre-injury, like, we're kind of a scary team.
I like our chances. And this might be the one, like, I don't want to, early in the season, well, before the season even started, I bet $75 at 20-1 the Phillies were going to win the World Series.
Good.
It was actually, and now I could cash that in for even money, but I'm not going to do it. I'm letting it roll. Make up for all the other bets I've lost in the past couple of years. $25 here, 50. It all adds up to about $1,500 of losses. I'm actually just saying this so it's on record, so the IRS doesn't come after me at some point and say, "Hey, you won money, you owe us taxes." So I think now's a good time to shift to your favorite team. But they're your favorite team because they're fun to watch. And I'm not so sure they were so fun to watch yesterday.
So, obviously, we're talking Eagles-Cardinals here.
We are talking Eagles-Cardinals.
Was emotionally distraught from the second quarter on. It all started. Landon Dickerson left the game, and I was like, that's not good. But, I mean, we've had O-line injuries. It is what it is. Jordan Mailata was out to start the game, which I already didn't like. So the two of them being out kind of made me nervous. But when Jason Kelsey left the field, I almost had a heart attack.
He came back like 4 plays later. He was fine.
He came back in the second half. But basically all of halftime and a little bit of the end of the second quarter, I was terrified that, like, he was...
I think that guy has to have his arm literally hanging out of its socket and broken in 16 spots for him not to play. Like, he'd basically just be like, tape that shit up, I'm going back. Like, I will. His podcast isn't great. It sucks. But as an athlete, I have tremendous respect for that guy. That guy will just, like, tape it up, put some dirt on it, and let's get back out there. And so
I love him.
He is the heart and soul of the Eagles. You know what? It was a boring game. And we got really, really lucky that Kyler Murray might be the dumbest quarterback in the entire NFL. And, oh, by the way, that clause they put in his contract that he had to study outside of the practice facility, like, there's a reason they did that. And there you have it. You just saw why they put that in his contract. Because
I can't
believe that they rescinded it, right? They took it out after the whole media.
Once it became public.
But he just does not have a clue. He has – so – Ari knows this about me. I hate players with dead eyes. I can't stand them. RJ Barrett has dead eyes.
It's an aggressive
hatred. Yes. They just have these sunken and their eye, like, they look like deer in headlights. And Kyler Murray looks like that. And if he was 6'4", so does Daniel Jones, by the way, quarterback for the New York Giants. But he's 6'4", 6'5". Like, Kyler Murray, I don't even think he can see above the O-line. And so he's at a huge disadvantage. And he's so dumb. He really is. Like, he could be so good, and he's just so dumb. And thank God he's dumb, because if he wasn't, we would be 4-1. We would not be 5-0. And this goes to show you that first 4 or 5 games of the season do not make a full season. Like, look, I know we need to essentially win.
Stop hating on my boys.
We need to go 500 for the rest of the season, and we make the playoffs pretty easily, and we may win the division, right? That's just the reality.
This division is scary.
The Giants are overrated.
I agree.
The Cowboys are good. The Cowboys are good.
Terrifying to me. I think the Cowboys look worse with Dak. I'm going to say it. I'm predicting this.
Well, they game plan differently. And they game plan to their strength, which is, I think, the run game, right? Zeke is just a beast, and they've got a really good run game. He is. I know he's a little bit old. He's not quite cooked, though. Like, he's like
he's a little cooked.
He's not well done. He's kind of like medium well.
Like average running backs.
I may very well like average running backs.
Miles Sanders, Ezekiel Elliott.
If
we're talking running backs in the division, like, Saquon looks fucking outstanding.
He does, but he won't stay healthy this season. He's going to be hurt.
He
went out yesterday.
Though.
He was wearing a Tottenham jersey, but he's still a Giants.
He looked good in the Tottenham jersey.
Well, everybody looks good in a Tottenham jersey, right? Like, it's just a classy, white, nice, like...
It was the blue one.
Oh, I thought he was wearing that ugly blue one.
Ugly?
You like that one?
The third kit?
Yeah, that's not a nice
jersey. The third kit's nice.
Am I going to have to buy you that one when I'm in England?
Yes, absolutely.
What player am I getting you? What player? Because I was thinking of getting you a Conte Zero.
I'll kill myself. I was thinking, last year we made a big deal of, like, it's got to be Kuti. But I think I need to wait.
Okay.
I think I need to see him get back to form. Skippy jersey.
Okay. Skippy gets no time, but that's okay. There was a Skippy
gets
sighting.
No time, but I love it.
Okay. So let's keep focused on Eagles Cardinals, right? You had a few talking points. I think in your notes,
Dicker the kicker.
You like him?
Dicker the kitten. Apparently he's like alt-right, according to
Oh
his
boy.
Twitter likes. But
Of course
won
he
us
is.
the game, I guess. I hate kickers. You know I hate kickers.
I know you do. Yeah.
But like he's a kicker who makes field goals. Like that's what you need. People were really worried with our normal kicker out, but like
Well, but here's the thing,
it
right?
is
Like
what it
people
is.
were really worried, and if you took that feeling and you were a Cardinals fan, you'd be right. Because what was it, a 42-yard field goal to tie the game?
Well, they also had a backup kicker.
That's what I'm saying. So when you've got these backup kickers who aren't used to the pressure, I mean that should be a chip shot from 42, and he completely kicked it exactly. They were showing him warming up before the game, and he was kicking it the same way, and he just didn't hit it properly, and it had that, I don't know, that slice
So
outwards.
what they
Which,
were
look,
saying about Dicker was that Sirianni showed film of him hitting big field goals in
mhm.
college, which like upped his confidence and upped the team's confidence in him. And
Look,
I
I'm
think like the game wasn't good at all, but I think having a coach like Sirianni who does stuff like that, it's the game in a positive way.
So why do you think the coaching wasn't great? What happened during the game that led you to think that the coaching wasn't good today or yesterday? I should say.
Gannon's defensive scheme is just really bad. Like he tries to avoid giving up the big play, but like we gave up a lot of almost big plays where it was like 9 to 12 yards every time, and it's not conducive to winning against good teams. And then on offense, we just kept throwing screen passes that weren't working at all. Like I get it, they were blitzing and you had to be quick, but they needed to adjust and they never did.
So I'll tell you, I think you're going to have with the Jalen Hurts some bad games. This wasn't a great one. I think
I
on the
mean,
defensive
it's
side,
a bad game and he had 200 yards and 2 touchdowns for
yeah,
himself.
no, I get it. It wasn't a great game. I think on the defensive side, we just weren't pressuring Kyler Murray enough, and he didn't show run until essentially like the end.
They did a really good job of keeping him in the pocket and then seemed to forget that he could run and kind of
Well,
like
that's exactly
let
it.
loose on him.
But he still, like, he had some drives where he was just carving us up. Like it felt like we were playing a prevent most of the time where we should just play the regular defense. It's this pet peeve I have, which is I can't stand when defensive coordinators, you're up 6 at the end of the game and you're playing this like, nickel or dime coverage and you're playing a prevent. Like, just play your regular game. That's what got you to the
Well,
point
the
where you are.
regular
And
game is what they were playing. It's just the
I know,
regular scheme isn't
but it
good.
felt like the regular scheme yesterday was very much more, I don't know what, more preventive than it was just pressure Kyler Murray a little bit more. I don't think
That's what
he's
I
a
would
great
like to
quarterback.
see.
But I guess they were afraid of him running and breaking the pocket. Kind of like, look, Jalen can do that as well. So you're kind of
The
game planning
one thing
against yourself.
that was good, there was one good, and that was every time we needed a yard, they finally realized you've got the best league and a quarterback who can squat 600 pounds.
And oh, by the
Just
way,
push him in.
push him in too. They had a guy behind him pushing him as well, which is the new like quarterback sneak right now. Because I saw somebody else do that as well. I can't remember what team this
Yeah,
weekend,
just have the entire
but they
team
did the
push him
same thing.
in.
They had basically the tight end get behind the quarterback and push him as well. So we've got Dallas Sunday night next week at home.
I made a joke last week.
You did.
And I said that every week we were going to have a return game. And I said it's going to be some random O lineman who won with us. Now, I wasn't actually thinking of him at the time, but it literally not so random O lineman who won the Super Bowl with us. It's Jason Peters, who may or may not be injured during this game. I think they said he might be out for a few games, so he might not play, but
so he'll get a standing O, no question if he's playing.
I think he always
was here
does.
for many, many years. Yeah, no, he was a great Eagle.
I think Ertz got a standing O against Zeke, did he?
If I mean, look, half that crowd was from Philly anyway, so probably.
It's true.
I mean, we travel pretty well, but for whatever reason in Arizona, like most teams travel really well to Arizona. It's probably the weather. Like it's starting to get cold here, and people are like, "Fuck this shit! I want to get to the heat of Arizona."
Yeah.
Right. So a lot of Eagles fans, and I think just Phoenix is like a transplant kind of area where people move there from somewhere else, but you don't lose your like. If we
I
moved to
also think
Phoenix, we'd
people
still be
like
Eagles
this
fans.
season. People like really just want to show out for this season.
Yeah, but Eagles fans travel well, like we
Yeah.
always have.
I know, but I think this season
I actually went as much. You know what? When the Cardinals first moved to Arizona, it was early on. I actually remember going to an Arizona Cardinals Eagles game at like the old Sun Devil Stadium or something. It was basically bleachers, and the place was empty, and it was way more Eagles fans than it was Cardinals fans. And it was, I think it came, I'm going to have to research it actually. You're just jogging my memory. I think it came down to a field goal that the Eagles may have missed. I got to go back in time to figure this one out. I'll in one of the future podcasts, I'll bring it up again, and I'll actually have the stats behind it. So I think this is a good time because we've talked about Eagles, we've talked about Phillies.
Fuck
We're going to
Dallas.
move.
Let's just now we move
That's
on.
fine. We all we all agree. Now, I will say, if anybody's listening, I'm available Sunday night to go to that game if someone wants to invite me. But nobody actually listens to the podcast. It doesn't matter. Tottenham, Brighton. We were driving to the Maryland football game, so I didn't get to watch any of it. And then actually the second half of the game coincided with halftime of the Maryland football. And I finally got on the internet because apparently Maryland is a colossal AT&T dead zone where no cell phone activity works. And they must have a deal with Verizon or something, right? Or Comcast, Xfinity Center. And so I could not, I mean, it was as though I would get like just a snapshot and then it would stop rolling and then another snapshot 30 seconds later and all the players would be in different spots. So I essentially saw the game in stills over, and I would miss like 25 seconds of stills. I'd get still, miss, and it was like 25 seconds in between. So I didn't really watch the game. I couldn't. And I was going to, if we had recorded this a little later, I was going to sort of watch the game back because I recorded it, but I didn't get a chance to do that either. I like that we set up as a 3-5-2. I like that we started Doherty instead of Emerson. Not that he was available, but
I'm still surprised Conte didn't accidentally turn in a team sheet with his name on it.
He may have. You just don't know.
He wrote Emmer and then scribbled it out and wrote
right,
shit,
of course,
Doherty, my bad.
Right, exactly. So I will say, though, his substitutions were a little bit strange, right? So Perisic came in to play midfield, even though I know he's a trained midfielder.
I'm not even sure.
I don't know what
Sonny, didn't he?
He did come on for Sonny. Skippy came on for Kane.
At that point, I think it was late in the game, and they were essentially like to a
right. They were basically
formation again.
Right. They were playing a 10-0-0, like essentially, right? So I get it, or like an 8-2-0. I will say we were at Brighton, tough place to play.
They're very good.
I don't think they're as good as you think they are, but they're good. They're a mid-table team, maybe. I know it. Again, we're 10 games in.
They're Man City light. They play like Man City. It's
obviously right. They don't have the skill. So, and I think by the end of the season they'll get found out. They'll finish 8th or 9th. They'll be fine. But you play at the Amex, which is a tough place to play. You're playing away. We just had a tragedy at the team where the fitness coach had passed away unexpectedly, on Wednesday or Thursday. So the team was kind of reeling from that. And I think we give them, I know you don't like to. I
know what you're going to say, and I agree with you. I'm willing to give them a pass for this one game because it was so obvious. I mean, Conte broke into tears. Harry Kane was choking up in the interview. Like, for once, I'm just like, I'm not reading too much into this. It was in terms of it's a tough team and they ground out the result despite the loss. And like, I think I'm willing that and move on. I'm not interested in really dissecting this game all that much.
It's what you call a professional win, right? You
Yes.
don't play your best. You're playing
Now, I
there's
think we have too
adverse.
many of those this year, but this one is
We do.
totally justifiable.
Right. So this week we've got, is it Frankfurt or Stuttgart? I can't remember. It's Frankfurt.
Still Frankfurt.
Still Frankfurt. We've got Frankfurt home. It's essentially a must win. And I'm interested to see if he starts Emerson.
I know for a fact you will. I don't even need to wonder it.
Oh God, I don't know I'm finally just completely selling Emerson, right? I always said he's not that bad. It's not like he is horrible, and I think we need to park him with the under 21s and just be done with him. But that's not going to happen.
I agree. It's about time you agreed.
And we've got Everton this weekend. Everton are, Everton's scary.
They've got like the best defense in the league this year, I think.
Yeah, they scare me. Even when they're terrible, they scare me. Like, I feel like they're better than they play.
Has turned into a midfielder. They brought back Idrissa Gueye, who's been good, and then they've got Onana, who's also been really good. Like, their midfield is really solid, and I think we're probably going to get again. Their defense has been really solid. It's just they kind of don't have a striker because Dominic Calvert-Lewin's always injured. And
Right.
So they're kind of struggling for goals. And that's the only thing I can find solace in.
But I think we'll play the 3-5-2 again. So at least the midfield, like, they won't boss us as much as if we played, a 3-4-3. So
You'd hope.
I like our chances. And then it's the beginning of Guy's tour of Tottenham, right? Then we've got Newcastle at home, which I will be in attendance. I will be sitting in the South Stand with 60,000 of my friends. Then we play Sporting de Lisbon, a Champions League game. The music will be played, and I will be listening to it. Then we've got an away game, and I won't be there anyway.
He's
and
just
then we
flexing.
have Liverpool and Leeds. I'm flexing a little bit. I'm excited.
Just like, I get to go to all the Tottenham.
I do get to go to all the Tottenham games. 4 of them. And it's going to be majestic. Beautiful. So Tottenham we've talked about. I think now is the time to get into
finally
and
do our
we're already
NBA
at 28 minutes. So we're clearly not going to adhere to our 40. Well, this is pretty good for us. We're clearly not going to adhere to our 45-minute episode, but I think we could do this in an hour, although I have so much to talk about. But let's get into our NBA awards. No, well, so I have so much to say, but I'm going to try to cut down. MVP. So first of all, the criteria for this award is an interesting one. It used to be like the best player and the best team. And it's not anymore, right? Jokic, they were a 6 seed last year.
They still
so essentially it's just
like it is, but it changes.
But it's not.
It changes to fit the media's narrative every year.
It does. So you've got a bunch of guys this year, like Vegas has Jokic and they've got Luka.
Again, voter fatigue.
Right. No, I get that.
Thank fuck. Sick of Nikola Jokic. I hope that fat man doesn't play basketball again.
Yeah.
Or how that would happen. But I hate him so much.
So the favorite in Vegas, though, is Luka. The second favorite is Joel. Then you have Giannis, Durant, Jokic, Tatum, who I think is ass, Ja Morant, Curry, and LeBron. So I don't think Curry and LeBron have a shot in hell. Like, it's just not going to happen. They're kind of past there. I don't think so.
But I think the Jokic pick is bad. I understand why Vegas has Luka as the front runner, but MVP really relies on you getting off to kind of a hot start. And I feel like every season Luka's he's gotten off to a slow start and then built from there.
So I don't know if I
So
agree
I
with you.
wouldn't be surprised
I actually
if
think if
he
you
were
have a
healthy
hot
right now.
finish, like a really hot finish and had a fine start and middle, like you can win that award because it's recency bias. So I think
That's
as long as as long as Luca doesn't shit the bed like he normally does and come in fat and like overweight and out of shape, which I don't think he
again,
will
I
because they
think Luca
played
has to be fat. I think he has to be
well,
fat. I think it's a
but I think
necessity.
they also played this summer a little bit more than he normally does. So I think he's not going to come in as bad a shape, right? He'll be a little bit like game tough. I think he's got as good a shot as any. But how can you really improve? Like last year, he had 28, 9 assists, 9 rebounds. Like I don't know what more he's going to be able to do on that team,
Efficiency,
right?
probably.
I don't. There's not much more to that game, and I will say I like Ja, but Ja is like 2 years too soon. And here's what I think. I think Embiid's going to win it. That's my pick. And I think Embiid's going to win it a year past the year he should win it, right? He should have won last year, but for
He should have
whatever
won the year
reason,
before too.
yeah, but he was hurt a lot the year before, so I get it. We were kind of okay with the year before. Last year,
Wait,
just I mean, look, I think it was okay. I understood
fuck
it.
Jokic.
I think last year it was because most of the sports writers are racist assholes and they didn't want to vote for Embiid over Jokic. But anyway,
Agreed.
if you look at the year Harden won, which is 2018, he really should have won in 2017. But they felt bad for him, and they then voted him in 18. I think that's what's going to happen with Embiid. As long as he averages, he's got to have. I mean, I wrote down 30, but I think he gets. I think he gets it with
A
29
little
and 12
leeway, yeah.
rebounds.
I
I think
mean,
he
I
get like
think provided Joel is healthy and dominant, it's his award to lose.
I think Harden has to make him a better kind of player. Harden even said, like, I got to get him 8 points a game, free
Harden
ones.
to get him some easy points,
If
exactly.
he can get him those easy points, then he should get 30 plus points a game. The tough part is, and I always say this, there's only one ball, and they can't all
You're
score it at
always
the same time and get credit.
wrong about this.
No, I'm
You
not
say
because
always wrong.
well, but your team is going to score 100 and whatever points a game. There's only one ball, and if Joel gets 30 plus of them, then Harden's got to get his. Maxi's got to get his. Tobias needs to be our sixth man, but he's got to get his. Like there isn't enough to go around. So,
Except
but as
Tobias
long
is
as
the
he
mouth that
averages,
they're worried about feeding.
I know they should be at
Every team
38
has
million or whatever.
3 guys that they're worried about feeding.
It's an
Essentially.
interesting place we're in. But so who is your pick for MVP this year?
I mean, Joel. But
Joel. Okay.
we've already
So
talked about this. But my sleeper, I have a sleeper for this award.
really,
Fell to be third. Can you see where
okay.
I'm going with this?
CJ McCollum.
Yeah, right. My sleeper is Zion.
Really? I
I
wouldn't
think
bet on
if they
that.
finish third, there's a really good argument for it because he's going to be a lot of the reason, and it's a huge jump in the standings, and the media loves that.
So he could fit into our next category, but I don't think he would. The criteria is tough. The most improved.
No, he can't.
But I think he's going to be the Ja Morant of last year, right? So Ja last year, right, had a great season, could have been talked about, but didn't get it, even though the Grizzlies were the 2 seed. So I don't think
His
he wins
stats
it.
just
I don't.
weren't as good top guys is the problem. But I think
Right.
Zion will score an efficient 20. I mean, he scored 27
I don't think he'll be.
his
I don't think he'll
sophomore
play
year.
enough games. I also think they're going to load management him a little bit.
They might.
So I think he'll play 2 out of every 3 games or something to that effect, and that's going to just sour the voters.
Maybe.
So
but I definitely think he will be up there as someone who's talked
that's
about.
a fair. I like that. So most improved player. The criteria is not that well defined, right? It's not comeback player. It's not, so when Julius Randle, because I did like I like to look at what they're voting on, right? And when Julius Randle won the award in 2021, he went from 19 and a half points to 24 points the next year and won it. And his assists went from 3 to 6, and his rebounds were about the same. I actually think Julius Randle could win it again this year. He's not my pick.
You and I differ. Like, you seem to not understand the award. It's not a guy who flip-flops between good and bad and is an all-star and then bad and then an all-star and then bad. It's a guy who's like, for the first time in his career, you're like, that's the guy.
Well, that's also why I didn't pick Julius
And you
Randle.
only get it once.
Again, so who are the guys they're talking about, right? Anthony Edwards is the favorite.
I don't think so.
I feel strong to me too.
I love Anthony Edwards, but I think his game is too good. Same with Maxey.
How about like a Tyrese Halliburton? So who are your three candidates?
My three candidates are Sadiq Bey,
interesting,
Tyrese Halliburton, and Anthony Simons. Three guys who, if you look at their numbers, have been really good, but are kind of on teams that weren't/aren't relevant, with more media attention because now everyone's looking at the Pistons because he built. Everyone's looking at Halliburton specifically because, like, we all kind of recognize he's really good, and Anthony Simons has Dame back, so the Blazers are going to be relevant again. Like, I think those are three guys who are going to come into the media spotlight, and even though I've seen that they're really good already, and a lot of other people have too, this is the year where they're going to, like, break out into stardom.
So I think on with Simons in Portland, I think Jeremy Grant's going to take some of that just juice away from him. I think Halliburton last year averaged 15 points, although it was 18 with Indiana in 13 games. I could see him making the jump to 20, 22 a game.
I was about to say, like, 20 I could see. Like 7. And I think
he averaged 8 assists last year, even with a shitty Kings team. The problem is who's he passing to?
I love.
Well, he's not going to average 12. No, but like Indiana sucks. Like, who's he going to pass to? They stink.
What's his name? Buddy Hield.
Yeah, but he might be gone.
He gets 12.
He might be passing to Westbrook. And you know what? If Westbrook ends up there, he's going to take the ball a little bit too much.
If Westbrook ends up there, then I think Halliburton's out of the question. But as the team is right now, he could get some assists to Miles Turner, get some assists to Buddy Hield, and like.
So I had a number of thoughts here, which were all like kind of random, right? So RJ Barrett is being talked about. I think there's only one ball. Well, so he's
forget
not
one ball. He's the guy. I think he's
keep in mind
the guy that they're going to go to. But I just like. Well, he's kind of at where he's going to be.
He averaged 20 points a game in 2022. He's not going to average 25. It's just not going to happen. With Jalen Brunson's another guy, but I think there are too many of these guys in New York. Barrett, Brunson, Julius Randle, like they're all going to share the ball, share the points, and none of them are going to
be around 15 to 22.
Somewhere around there, and no one's going to make that huge jump. Shea is being talked about, but Shea in 56 games last year averaged 24.5 points, 6 assists, and 8 rebounds. Already. He's not. I mean, how do you improve on that? I don't think you can. I think Josh Giddey could maybe, but so
I'd
here's
like to give it to second-year players because you're expected to make a jump.
Yes, I agree. So I don't think he's the guy. So here's my pick, and this is my sleeper pick. And I don't know if you've got any clue who I'm going to pick. But this goes along the lines of last week where we talked about how I bet and how I read an article and I'm like, yeah, that's the one right there. Kyle Kuzma.
Horrible. You're the
Kyle Kuzma. Yes. Kyle Kuzma last year averaged 17 points.
No, we're going to want to hear it.
3.5 assists and 8.5 rebounds. And I think Kyle Kuzma is going to average 23 this year.
You're wrong.
I think Kyle Kuzma is going to win the award.
You're wrong. Let's move on.
I thought you'd like that pick. I guess you didn't like it. All right, fuck you. I think it's a great pick.
Although I am like kind of an honorary Wizards fan this year since I'm in the area.
Kyle Kuzma, I'm
But
getting you a jersey.
No, Denny.
I'm going to get you a
Lock it
Kuzma
in.
Sixers.
Denny.
You already have a Denny jersey.
No, I meant most improved. He's going to score. He's scoring 37 with 48 assists, rebounds.
He's going to score 37 all season is what you mean. Sixth man of the year award. So the criteria, it's pretty simple. You have to actually start more games on the bench than you start, on the floor is essentially the criteria.
If Christian Wood stays as sixth man, I think we agree that he's going to win it. We both agree.
That was my guy. If he stays as sixth man, that's my guy.
If he doesn't, I have two candidates both on the same team. Okay. And you're not going to like
I think
Kevin Love and Ricky Rubio.
Oh, no way. No.
It's going to I think it'll be one of them.
No. So I've got a lot of guys. I don't think it's either one of them. I was looking up a lot of stats. Like I was looking up Karis LeVert, maybe. I was looking up Rui
to start games. At least.
And that's the thing. So Karis LeVert, I actually thought Seth Curry might, but I think he's going to start games too.
I think he starts.
Right? Joe Harris is not going to. Well, they're saying the depth charts are saying Joe Harris starts. But I think
Joe Harris might start at the 3. Like it might be. I mean,
it'll be weird.
I could see a world in which they start with Kyrie, Seth, Joe Harris, KD, Ben, which I think is a horrible idea. But I could see a world in which that becomes the.
Yeah, so I think Seth just starts too many games. I was also thinking Bones Highland, who I really like. I was thinking Rui Hachimura maybe, because I think he's going to start on the bench and I think he's going to get better. I actually think the LA Clippers love this award. And if Christian Wood doesn't qualify, my pick is actually, it's not Covington, because I think Covington's a little bit cooked by this point.
I don't think
it's Reggie Jackson.
They love a guy who scores points off the bench, so I could definitely see that.
And I think it's Reggie Jackson, even though his minutes will be taken by Terrence Mann a little bit, right? And Mann,
I don't know.
So, but I like Reggie Jackson. That's my second pick if Christian Wood doesn't qualify.
That.
So that was interesting.
You hate, and that's the only reason why you disagree with me.
He was cooked 5 years. How is he my age? Is he like 47?
Cooked. The problem wasn't that he was cooked. It was he was on a terrible team and didn't feel like he needed to give a shit ton of effort. Now, last year, he was a really good candidate for the award as well. I think Ricky Rubio's assists off the bench will entice voters, and I think his all-around game off the bench will entice voters.
Yeah, I disagree. But that's okay. That's why we do this. Rookie of the year. And I don't think I need to define what that means, although that's what that's what I don't know these guys. Like you watch all these guys in college, but it does sometimes it doesn't translate. Like Suggs didn't translate or won't translate.
We knew we wouldn't. But I like Jaden Ivey's game.
I do too, and I like his so I like the family. His mom is the coach at Notre Dame. She was a player. He grew up, basically traveling or watching WNBA and practicing with the women that his mom played with. His dad, I think, was a wide receiver for the Vikings, even though he was so he's got this lineage. And I think he's just a tough kid. The Pistons will be better than everybody thinks they will be. And he's my pick.
Yeah, I think it's pretty easy.
So we're not going to preview next year, but the number one pick we talked a little bit about, Wembanyama.
You're not going to predict what? No, you're going to predict.
I'm not. I'm picking Scoot.
I know.
I am. I think Scoot's going to be a better player.
You don't need to have this discussion. I think one knows that already. Who knows you?
Yeah.
You just hate the long, skinny guys.
I do. I hate them all. I mean, I think I was tainted by some of the longs, like Sean Bradley was a long, skinny guy in Philly. And even Keith Van Horn was kind of long and skinny. And he played just not a fan.
You just conveniently forget KD, though. KD, and Brandon Ingram. Like, these are long, skinny guys.
Yeah, they are. I guess but they're not as skinny. I feel like they're a little wider bodied, and they're not. I
KD
mean, maybe
is
they're just as skinny, but they're like wider, and there's something to them. They look like
just
athletes,
already know them.
and they look like athletes. The other guys don't. So we're gonna move on. Defensive Player of the Year. Criteria is kind of vague, but it's becoming a reputation award.
Awards. Well, it's
No, I
always
think
been
I do.
a reputation award. Defense has always been a reputation-based thing in the NBA. Like, if you
So
get
I
a
think Pat
reputation
Bev,
early as a bad defensive player, it sticks with you for the rest of your career. And if you have a reputation as a good defensive player, like a Kawhi, then it sticks with you. Like, Kawhi hasn't been the defender that he was in San Antonio since his injury, but no one realized it because he's got that reputation.
Yeah, it's fair. I think, Pat Beverly made a good point. He was on the JJ Redick podcast, and he basically said it should be voted on by the coaches, and it should be the guy you game plan against the most. And that's fair because otherwise, like, I don't know what Doc Rivers is game planning against the Lakers when Beverly's playing versus game planning against, frankly, the Bucks when Giannis is playing, right? Because Giannis is a good defender. And so there's so much that goes into it. I do think there's guys that are really overrated, right? Like, I think Robert Williams is hugely overrated. I think he just runs around like a chicken with his head cut off and just jumps and does shit, but like not really that smart a defender. I think Smart isn't that great a defender. He didn't deserve it. I think while Rudy Gobert
is really good in the regular season.
Right, and it's a regular season award. And I think Pat Beverly, like a guy like Pat Beverly doesn't get enough credit for the defense he plays. Although I think, and God forbid if he hears this, I think he's a little bit on the older side.
How dare you?
And I think he's a little bit slower than he used to be. And I don't think he's going to be as great a defender this year as he has been in the past. But he makes people game plan differently.
Very bad take.
I don't think Bam Adebayo is as good a defender as everybody thinks.
Bam Adebayo is a shit player. He's Ben Simmons. He hasn't improved.
So who do you think is going to win this award? Now, I would have said Draymond had a chance, but Draymond then punched Jordan. You're giving it to Mikal, really?
I think he deserved it last year, and I think it's another one where, like, he'll have a really good year, and people will be like, we kind of stole it from him last year. Let's give it to him this year. And I still think he'll be amazing defensively. I love Mikal. I'm so mad that we traded him.
That was not a good trade. I don't know why we did that. I mean, it was just...
Even if you think he's going to be shit, his mom works in the building. He went to Villanova. He's a Philly kid. Like, you keep that guy. He could be dog shit. You keep him as your 15th man.
Well, you keep him for a couple of years to see how he's going to do. I know they didn't think they needed that position. Guy. But that wasn't a good trade. That was poor. That was the Colangelos, and they fucked this team over left and right.
That was actually GM Brett Brown.
Was it really?
Mm-hmm. Believe so.
I'm not so sure. Anyway, I think Draymond would have had a chance if he didn't punch Jordan Poole in the fucking face. And that was insane. If you could see that video,
blow over, but
I don't know. I mean, it'll blow over because Golden State doesn't want to trade him, right? Because when Bobby Portis did it, right, he got traded immediately.
Bobby Portis did it in self-defense, to be fair.
Yeah, but he still did it, and he got traded immediately. Whereas Draymond is too important to Golden State. He's part of their big three, where they're not going to do it to him. But I don't. I'm interested to hear why he snapped, and he didn't just snap to the point where he like pushed a guy or like slapped him. He straight up
punched him.
He cocked back and just nailed him right in the fucking mouth. Like, it was insane.
To be fair, if you're gonna punch someone, like, if
you're gonna do it right. He did it right. I give him credit. Good job, Draymond. You did it right. You punched a teammate right in the face. Good job.
Did you hear when he apologized?
He didn't.
Did you hear what he said? He said, "Hurt people, hurt people."
So he's a hurt person. Good for him. So my pick, and you're not going to like this one. I was thinking of really pissing you off and saying Ben Simmons was going to win Defensive Player of the Year, but
He'll
like I
never
think
win
the
anything
voters
ever.
hate him. Everybody
Yeah.
hates Ben Simmons. Like nobody likes. Even
Good.
Brooklyn hates
As they
Ben
should.
Simmons.
Already
I'm gonna go
their
with.
fans are turning on him. I love it.
I'm gonna go with PJ Tucker. I actually think he's going to be on the court a lot, and I think he's going to defend a lot of positions, and I think he is going to just change the way people play us, and I think that's going to resonate with the voters. I don't know why. I just think PJ.
I just think
Maybe
he's
it's a
too
homer
old.
pick. He might be, but he's a homer pick, and he's not expected to score. He does not need to. He needs to score 6 points a game. He needs to hit 2 corner threes,
No,
and
he
that's
needs to
it.
hit 3 corner threes.
Fine. 2.5. We'll settle on half. We'll settle on 7.5 points a game.
I've never settled life. 9.
I know.
9 or I want him gone.
Fine. He'll get 9 for you. He's going to say to himself every time he hits his third, thank God I hit my third because Ari can now let me be.
38 minutes a game. He's definitely going to play like every minute.
So Coach of the Year, I think, is going to be Doc Rivers because – no, I'm kidding. There's no way. I think Coach of the Year is pretty easy.
I will drive down. I will Uber down to you, spend your money just to hit you for that take.
Oh, yeah. Good luck with that. So who do we think Coach of the Year is going to be?
JB Bickerstaff.
That's who I have as well. I was thinking a sleeper was Dwayne Casey with the Pistons, but they're still just going to be like a 10 seed.
No, I think if they're good next year, maybe. But for me, it's JB Bickerstaff. They'll finish as the 3rd seed. They'll be really good. Or, I mean, again, like I have the Timberwolves and I have the Pels at 3. So, like, I think that's the top 3. But I think JB Bickerstaff's scheme is going to be the best of them. So I think he will win.
And I think he won over – they were talking about him last year a lot. Didn't he finish pretty high in the voting last year? And I think it's the kind of thing where he'll get the benefit of last year into this year, and I think he'll win it as well. So now we're going to talk – I want to talk a few random, like, not official awards, but things that we were thinking about before we get into the All-NBA first team. So the best offseason move. And we've talked about a lot of these guys already. I'm actually going to start, and I'm taking the field if I'm allowed to. I'm taking a TBD, a to be determined, because I think there's going to be a trade that happens at some point during the season that is going to just shift. No.
This is the best off-season move.
No, but it's kind of like the best move. I know I said off-season. I didn't think about it. But it's the best move of the season. Like, to me, it's all-encompassing. And, like, I feel like there's going to be some move during the season that's going to change things around. What?
This feels like cheating.
I mean, I like to take the field. Every once in a while, I'll bet red, right? Like, on the roulette wheel. Like, you got to bet a 50-50, and I'm going to take the field. Who do you have, though?
This isn't my pick, but I do want to give a shout to Pat Bev. We love you. Please come on our podcast. But it's Donovan Mitchell. It's so easy. Like, it's incredibly easy.
Yeah, I had Mitchell. I have DeJounte Murray also.
But they're going to finish as the what? I had them as what? The 8th seed?
They are going to finish low. I had them as a 6. You had them as the 8.
But
so
they're going to finish the 8th seed, and the Cavs are going to finish the 3rd seed. Like, Donovan Mitchell brought the seed.
What's interesting, though, is we're not talking Donovan Mitchell as – I mean, he wouldn't be most improved, but as an MVP candidate with this team. Like, he's kind of just the 15th best guy in the NBA. Yeah, but Donovan Mitchell is kind of just the 15th best guy in the NBA.
I'm sure he's that high.
20.
He's really good, but like
he's not going to get any better than that.
That team is just. I mean, I think that's still Garland's team, though. That's the difference. I really think he's good. I think he's really.
Yeah, but I don't think it's his team. I think it's Mitchell's team. Like, when you look at them, I think it's going to be Mitchell's team. Most disappointing player, another one of those, unofficial trade you for the fruit punch awards. Most disappointing player.
2 picks. Both of them are agendas. Tatum or Dame?
So, we didn't even talk about this one at all.
Do you also have one of them?
I have Dame. Yeah, I definitely have Dame. I have Siakam though, right? Instead of Tatum, because I have another agenda. But my pick is actually this is very fitting. Like, my pick is actually Kyrie Irving. I don't think he's going to play enough games. I think he's going to find a way to get like COVID, like every other week.
Did you see Bradley Beal's already in health and safety protocols?
Is he really? Well, that's another one of those guys who didn't want to get vaccinated.
This is like the 5th time.
I don't know what to tell you. I just, with Kyrie, he's going to have some, God forbid it's a horrible family episode, but he's going to like just be MIA for 3 weeks because he's tired and needs his rest. Like, if I was MIA for 3 weeks from my job, they'd fucking fire me. But Kyrie plays basketball and they kind of let him be. So mine is Kyrie with honorable mention to Dame and to Pascal Siakam. And you have honor. Well, so who did you pick though?
I'll go Tatum.
Tatum. Okay. I don't mind that. I don't hate that pick. I actually like it a lot. Now let's get into, and you didn't want to do all defensive first team. I picked a 5, but we're going to go into the all NBA first team. And there are a lot of guys. I mean, there are legitimately, I would say 8 or 9 guys that could be all NBA first team.
Yeah.
My picks are Joel, the MVP, Giannis, Durant, Luka, and Kawhi. I didn't go crazy. It's not like I picked like DeJounte Murray to make NBA.
I don't think
right? That's
that
not gonna
can happen. You need to have 2 guards, and I don't think any of your forwards classify as guard forwards.
Isn't Kawhi kind of guard forward?
I don't think your 5 works.
Here's one of the guys that we have not said a word about. Devin Booker. You notice we haven't said
he's the best shooting guard in the league, but like he's whatever.
So I guess I put Devin Booker on there instead of Kawhi.
I mean,
because Kawhi may not play enough games.
Steph.
I don't know. I don't think the league likes Steph anymore.
I think you're going crazy for no reason and just reading too much into the fact that he's now 34.
I also think they're going to rest those guys in different ways. And they're going to play the Kumingas of the world and the Wisemans of the world. And I know it's not the same position.
And you don't think
they're going to play them a little bit more? I do, but I think Kawhi hasn't played in 3 years, so he's got fresh. He hasn't played since he won the title, right? So he's kind of got fresh legs, and he needs to show the league he can play again. And so I think he's going to play more than he. I know, but I think he's going to play a little bit more. So those are my 5. I'm going to put Booker instead of Kawhi if they won't let me have Kawhi as my 5th. Who do you have?
Mine's pretty easy. I've got one shock, but the rest is incredibly obvious. Steph and Luka as my guards. Giannis is one of my forwards. I'm going to leave the other one for last. Joel's obviously my center. And my sleeper MVP is my second forward.
Interesting. Okay. I mean, it makes sense based on what we just talked about.
But again, it's not total. It's all NBA first teams are pretty easy. It's good names, and then they might throw in one guy who you didn't expect going into the season.
Right. So who do we have? Do we want to go into all NBA first team, or you don't want to do it?
We just did. Do you mean defensive team?
I said defensive, all NBA defensive first team.
We can. And this one, what I always think is stupid is for first team all NBA, they're very strict about this whole position thing. And then for all defensive team, you can have 18 centers if you want.
So my team, we've talked about a lot of these guys. So I've got PJ Tucker because he's my defensive player of the year. I have to. I've got Smart, even though I think he's overrated. But I think a guy like Smart benefits from last year. I've got my least favorite player in all of sports, Rudy Gobert, because he'll get it. I've got Giannis, no bag Giannis, or coin purse Giannis. And then I've got Ben Simmons on my all NBA first team. And I had to give him one award. And as much as I want to give him the most.
I'm giving him worst player of the season award.
I thought that you didn't give him most disappointing player.
Worst. Yes, I did. I said it was Tate.
I know, but I would have thought you would have given him most disappointing.
He's not going to be disappointing because everyone expects him to be shit. I think he's going to be the worst player of the season.
Yeah, I don't have that in my repertoire of notes, so I'm just going to pass over that one.
Just agree with me.
That's fine. I don't like Ben Simmons. So who are your 5 picks for all defensive?
I'm going to try to do this in positions rather than 4 centers because I'm annoyed. So I'm going my 2 guards. I'm going Pat Bev and Marcus Smart.
Wow.
Just they love the handsy guys when it comes to all defensive teams. I'm going.
Do you think Pat Bev is going to play enough? Do you think he gets 34, 36 minutes a game, or you think he gets 24 minutes a game?
I don't think it matters for a defensive team.
I don't know. I feel like he's not going to get enough minutes. Like, that's my issue with him a little bit as well, is he's just not going to get enough minutes. But anyhow, I interrupted. I apologize. Not really.
Mikhail, obviously my defensive player of the year.
Right.
And then I think Bam and Gobert.
I have a feeling Bam's going to get worse. I think that Heat team, like we talked about before, is going to be disappointing. And Bam's going to be part of that disappointment. Like Tyler Hero. We didn't even talk about him. And he's the favorite to win 6th Man of the Year. So I just think the Heat they're cooked.
Yeah, but again, like you're reading too much into the standings and all. Defensive team is just 5 really good defensive players.
No, I understand.
It'll be like Simmons the Atlanta year. Like he was in the race to win Defensive Player of the Year, and he was dog shit in every other category that year. Like it does not matter. Bam is going.
Yeah, I think team matters a little bit
there.
If you can't stop anybody, then I think team matters. So here's the part of the pod. We're coming to the end. We're a little bit over an hour, so we did fairly well. We didn't do great, but I think we were good today. This is way better. We've got to try to shorten it up.
This was your fault, I think.
Because
you spent way too long on your awards.
I did, but I like it. But now's the time where I believe the dog is going to come in and start barking, which would be great, just as we're finishing up the pod because the mailman's coming. But we finish off every pod with our punch of the week.
Punch of the
week. So who is your punch of the week?
I said I was going to touch on them later.
I already know who you're going with.
It's the Mets. Get fucked, Mets. 101 wins this season, and for fucking what?
Absolutely nothing.
Absolutely nothing.
I love it, too.
Got beaten out by the fucking Phillies.
I love it. So my punch of the week, and apparently the dog agrees with me, my punch of the week, it's unfortunate we can't edit anything, and he just goes crazy for like a minute. So my punch of the week, and I know this is going to be not well received by many in the baseball community. My punch of the week, Albert Pujols and Molina.
And they did nothing. They did absolutely nothing.
In a long series, in a 2-game series at home, though. And I just, it's look, I love that Pujols got 703. I love that Molina was, an outstanding catcher for 20 years. But they're gone, and they fucked my Phillies in 2011. And for me, they get the punch of the week. And you know what? And here's the thing.
Both got hits on their last at-bats.
If I stole their punch from them, there is absolutely no chance those two fatties.
Oh my God, they're so fast. They're so slow.
There's no chance they'd ever come anywhere close to catching me because I know I'm faster than them. I just know it. So with that, we thank you for listening.
We
We will
apologize for
see
the
you.
dog.
I apologize for the dog. Had we gone on time, 45 minutes, we would not have had that. And so we thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time. Have a great one. Thanks, Ari.